Evening, everyone. What do you say we get started tonight, huh? Yeah, I got some good stuff for you guys. We're going to be talking about the top 10 lies that the medical community has convinced most Americans are true. And I'm ranking them not in order of most dangerous, but really in order of what's not going to get me banned from YouTube. We're only going to get through 8 before I have to kind of stop, reset the cameras, turn it off, because ever since 2020, YouTube has established a policy that does not allow for certain topics to be discussed unless you fall in with the party line. And so you guys, by being here, get a couple of bonuses tonight. One, you get 2 bonus bamboozles that I will freely talk about once we turn off the cameras. As well as we have 2 beautiful vendors here. We have, sorry, you're going to have to remind me your names. Yep, who's doing herbalism and has some samples for you to check out and see. And then, yep, so Kaylee and Khalili, so don't get confused. Yeah, but we've got some beef tallow products, women especially, you're going to love this, but even men, like, this is great stuff. So make sure to check them out before you go as well. But before we really get started with content, I always pray about how should I start each workshop? What should be my approach to this? And it's funny that each of the last 2 workshops, it's come to me the church service right before that passage that the pastor preached. So that's about it. Isaiah chapter 61, verse 1, the Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, the opening of the prison to those who are bound, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor. And that's where Jesus stops. So in Scripture, Jesus almost got stoned for saying that. And I just really felt that today. Like, no, nobody in here is going to steal. But when we talk about some of these lies that we believe, this has really become politicized over the last 6, 7 years. You cannot say something without accusing you of being MAGA or Maha or Trump, whatever, or TDR or whatever. I'm not here to talk politics tonight. I don't want to make anybody feel like you are not welcome here. This is not about that. This is about using logic and reason and the tools that God's given us in order to be able to establish what the truth about these topics is. So with that said, I'm going to feel a little bit like the magician here. And if anybody remembers this show from a few years ago, it was actually called Behind the Curtain. And it was a magic show where it wasn't about tricking the audience. It was actually about showing the audience how these different tricks worked. And it kind of ruined magic for a lot of people, unfortunately. Because now it's like, oh yeah, he's just holding up 2 wires and it looks like it's funny. But this is kind of what we're doing. We're going behind the curtain. The wizard can't hide back there. Get the Oz reference. Well, let's jump in. And this one, for those of you that have come through a doctor's reported findings recently, this is our first bamboozle. You've probably heard me talk about this. So the U.S. has an excellent healthcare system, and we should trust the experts. Right? That's laughable, right? Right? Why? Why should we not trust the experts? Well, let's kind of talk through the top 3 killers in the United States. When I do this in our reported findings, I always start off with cancer and heart disease as being the top 2 killers in the United States. I'm sorry, I misled you a little bit. And the reason I misled you is because most people don't want to believe the first cause of death. And the number 1 leading cause of death in the United States is something called iatrogenic deaths. It's death by medicine. It is literally you going to the doctor, them doing the right thing, and you having a negative side effect and dying. And when you look at the number of deaths, it's 783,936 annually. And then you look at number 2, heart disease, 720,000. Number 3, cancer, 650,000. When are we going to have a month or a walk that's for iatrogenesis, for iatrogenic deaths? These deaths are only available in the literature. This is Dr. Gary Null, PhD, with 3 other MDs. They reviewed all the literature. This is not published in the CDC. This is in the literature. You have to dive deep on this. And they found that when you look at all-cause mortality, that iatrogenesis, you going to the medical doctor and them doing the right thing, you have the wrong results, was the #1 leading cause of death in the United States. So take those numbers. So that's a big number, 783,000 deaths. What does that mean for me? It means that 6 jumbo jets worth of people die every day. Every day. Every day. If that was the airline system, if that was aviation, how many of you would want to get on a plane ever? And yet, how many of you have 1, 2, 3, 5 different medical appointments set up for the next year? Should we? And I'm not here to tell you that medical care is bad. I'm just here to show you that our medical care is not doing a good job. That the experts are not as expert as they say they are. And that trusting the science isn't as simple as just reading the headlines about what they're reporting on, or even reading the research, as we'll see as we dive in here in a little bit. I'm going to let Cheryl jump in here in just a second. But this here just kind of sums it up. The million people say a foolish thing. It's still a foolish thing.
Okay. So Bamboozled number 2. If the FDA approves it, it means it's safe. Vioxx, how many of you remember Vioxx? I do. I was that nurse giving Vioxx to patients. It was the wonder drug in the 90s, early 2000s. It was a fantastic drug because what it did, supposedly, the reason it was so popular is because it was a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, but it didn't cause the GI upset and the GI bleeds that the other NSAIDs do. However, it caused heart attacks and strokes. So they have taken this one off the market. There was another one with it called Bextra. They took that off the market. There was a third one called Celebrex, which is still available on the market. So be warned. It doesn't have as many adverse effects. There's not the data out there, but it's for very limited times too. I think 14 to 21 days is the most that it's recommended to be done. Also, cigarettes, they used to tout cigarettes as being healthy. Honestly, that was good for you many years ago. We obviously know a whole lot more than that now. Pfizer, and this was with Bextra, the other one that I was talking about. Yeah. Pfizer was fined $2.3 billion for illegal marketing of off-label use of drugs. So there are certain things that the drugs are approved for by the FDA. There's other things that they can be used for, but you can't market those. And obviously Pfizer was marketing those as well.
And that's fine, just as a side note, that's not a civil fine. That's a criminal fine. These are being tried in criminal courts, but they do not throw the executives or the scientists into jail. They just fine the company, and not an amount that bankrupts the company at all. So these guys get to keep doing it.
So is it safe, or is it generally recognized as safe? GRAS, generally recognized as safe. As it says, since 2000, food and chemical companies have used the GRAS loophole and the FDA's voluntary submission process to approve nearly 99% of new food chemicals. These chemicals that we know, but those are just the chemicals that we know about the companies that are putting in our foods. There's a lot of foods that there's chemicals we don't even know for sure what they're putting in. As it says, leaving both the public and the regulators. I'm gonna go back for a second. Kellogg's, I don't know how many of you have heard, Kellogg's is all over the news because they're taking the artificial dyes out of their cereals a year early. It's good, but they should have done it 10 years ago when they did it in Europe. Yeah, I don't know what they're replacing it with, but it's not blue dye number 5. We know that. Exactly. Exactly.
I think the Omaha plant is closing.
Is it really? Well, that's too bad, but I know it's that, but they're touting that they've done it a whole year ahead of schedule. Or Bamboozled number 3, medical research is trustworthy. Yeah, So these were the articles. This one is Lies, Damned Lies in Medical Science. Is the name of that article. Widespread popularity about the treatments of hormone replacement therapy for menopausal women, coronary stents that ward off heart attacks, and daily low-dose aspirin. I can tell you a whole lot of things that widespread hormonal replacement therapy. People, why do women take hormone replacement therapy? To deal with the side effects of menopause. Menopause is natural, it's normal. Yes, it's uncomfortable, or it can be for some women, but taking artificial estrogen is not the treatment. They found that so your estrogen, your natural estrogen, is very cardioprotective, which what that means is women don't tend to have as many heart attacks as men do until women reach menopause. Women don't have osteoporosis because of the estrogen. When they hit menopause, they're bone density drugs. So the thought was, well, let's give women estrogen so that they don't have the heart disease and they don't have the osteoporosis. That didn't work, but they did it for a lot of years. It ended up that there's more cancers out there, more ovarian cancer, uterine cancer, breast cancer, as a result of all of that extra estrogen. And it doesn't do a great job with the menopause symptoms either.
On the medical research thing, you might think, oh yeah, they publish all the research. No, the one that gets published is the first one. And the first one is always the one that the drug companies put out to support the efficacy of what they're doing. The other ones, even if it comes out and it undermines it, or it has better results, those ones don't get published because it's already been done and the medical community has accepted that one. So when do they take back or rescind it or want more research? Well, when 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, a million people, that's when that new research comes out. So FDA approved and medically researched, not trustworthy.
And you really have to dig to find other research. Yeah. And as I've learned over the years, it's really, really important to find out when you're looking at this research, how many people was it done on? Was it a group of 5 or a group of 5,000? That makes a big difference on the results.
And for how long?
Yeah.
And for how long? There's a TV commercial maybe on here. I think it was on here. Ambien was studied in a one-night study on people who didn't really have sleeping problems anyway, but it just wanted to see if it would help them sleep. One night, you know, and we're going to send people home on a pill to help them sleep that we don't even know for sure that it works.
I don't know if we could look back to grade 2. The first one said good, and then everything after that happened. We didn't know that until now.
Exactly. Exactly. And then I love this one. Pregnancy is a disease condition. You'd be surprised teaching nursing students how many times students tried to get away with this. Or I've got pregnancy brain. I don't care. We all went through it too. You know, we didn't use that as an excuse. It's not a disease, it's natural. But what do? We treat it as a disease. We put moms in the hospital. We do frequent, not that frequent or occasional, you know, checkups are okay. Prenatal visits are important, but at the frequency that we're doing them, maybe not. And then putting mom in the hospital, treating her like a sick patient at the end of the pregnancy to deliver that baby. If baby's not arrived by due date or within a specific amount of time, what are we going to do? Induce labor, do a C-section, come up with some excuse. United States has the highest C-section rate and also the highest infant mortality.
It's supposed to be less than 10% according to the medical health. We have over 30%. Last I looked, it was about 30.7%.
So this was a tool. It says mortality. Infants are 78% more likely to die in the United States than in a similar countries, primarily from prematurity, or I'm guessing that means sudden unexplained infant death. Instead of SIDS, it's now sudden unexplained infant death. Chronic conditions, nearly half of all children, almost 45.7% of kids in the pediatric world have at least one chronic health condition: asthma, depression, anxiety, autism. Okay. This was an acronym that the writer used to help determine what we should do in pregnancy. It's called the BRAIN tool. Benefits. What are the benefits of the treatment? What are the risks of a particular treatment? What would be the alternatives to the treatment that the doctor is recommending?
That's the hard one because you can't find that.
Mhm. Intuition. What does your own intuition tell you about said treatments? And then what happens if I don't do anything? So those are things that it certainly applies to all of life, all of healthcare, not just pregnancy. But I thought that was really good. Weigh your options. I think some of you have heard the TV that's been talking about the mothers continuing their antidepressants during pregnancy and how you can't rapidly withdraw them, but if you're planning for pregnancy, you need to start getting off those antidepressants, finding alternates, because that's not good for baby. We also know that the best way to feed our babies is, of course, formula, right? Not unless you talk to Bill Gates. Bill Gates wants everybody to use formula because it's much more cheap, more inexpensive, and oh, you know what? We can massively produce it. Breast milk adapts to the way that the baby needs. The baby has particular nutritional deficits. The breast milk will adapt to that baby through the salivary glands and the saliva that will trigger mom's breast milk to reformulate to the formula that needs the baby.
That's the example. This is the day before, and baby gets symptoms, and the day afterwards, it just changes color. That's all the white blood cells and the vitamins and minerals coming in there to support baby's health because baby needed something different. Whereas Bill Gates is like, oh yeah, take the same powder day after day after day. You're gonna be great, right? No, that doesn't work. That's amazing. It really is. It really is.
Yeah, breastfeeding isn't natural and it makes moms anti-vaxxers.
My other way,
Enough said. Okay, so menopause is the disease and the solution is hormone replacement. I think we already touched on hormone replacement. And no, menopause isn't a disease either. It's a natural part of the aging process. And we certainly want to continue there are natural ways to deal with the hot flashes, to deal with the obesity, dealing with weight gain, bloating, whatever else your signs and symptoms might be. The single biggest reduction in breast cancer occurred when doctors stopped prescribing hormone replacement therapy. Replacement therapy not only doesn't decrease the risk of heart disease and stroke or Alzheimer's, it actually increases the risk. And a woman's risk of breast cancer increased by 8% for each year she was on a synthetic hormone replacement. So, there is a supplement out there by Kingdom Health Sciences, which Max Living is partnering with, that does help with menopause. It's a comprehensive menopause strategy. Gets into the root cause, as it says, beyond the hot flashes. It does address the root hormonal disruption. It has adaptogens, so it can adapt as the body needs to, and needs to be adapted. It has anti-inflammatory properties. Again, turmeric, which we tout that a lot, use that for a lot of inflammatory. Ginger, ganglion, address the inflammation. And then menopause symptoms are symptomatic and successful support of this requires a comprehensive adaptogenic nutrition. So that KHS is that Kingdom Health Sciences, yeah, which, like I said, we are now partnering with now. So there is stress hormone connection in these roots. Again, adaptogenic synergy. It's time tested for menopausal support and inflammation control. This is a new product. I went to listened to a webinar a month ago. So it's a fairly new product. It's just out. Number 6, 5 servings of fruits and vegetables per day is enough. No, not. 70% of our food is ultra high processed foods already. 50% of kids are not getting their daily intake of fruits. And 90% of kids don't get their daily intake of vegetables. And then if you look at 1953, a bowl of spinach, that would be enough nutrients for 1 serving. Now it's going to take, in the year 2000, 43 bowls of spinach to get the same amount of nutrients, because our soil is so depleted that it's not able to provide the nutrition that we want. Okay, so
grow
whoops.
your own.
Go ahead.
Oh, grow your own.
Yeah, grow your own. Yes.
That helps. So regenerative farming, organic farming, both have been shown to have more nutrients in there than if you buy it from the store. But I want to do a quick example here. George, you look hungry. Yes? Okay, come over here. You and I, we're going to have a meeting. Okay, so I've got roughly, we'll say 10 servings of fruits and vegetables here. A bag of broccoli and a bag of apples. I'm going to give you first go at it. You get a minute to eat as much of this as you can. And then I'll get a minute to eat as many servings of fruits and vegetables as I can get. Okay, I'll open it for you so there's no delay here. Who's got the timer? You got it? Okay. All right. Yep, you can start with the apples if you want. They're all organic, so we got tons of nutrients in here.
I'm at a disadvantage with the apple.
Yeah, there you go. Start with that then. All right, ready?
Whenever you are.
Go. Tell us when we get to a minute. As fast as you can, George.
You need some dip.
You probably. Yeah, that would undermine it though, right? Yeah, get him some hummus or some guacamole maybe. How many seconds are we in?
33 seconds
There's,
left.
so about halfway. So how many servings would you say he's at right now?
One.
Maybe somewhere between half and one. Yeah, that's probably a good guess. All right, give us a countdown.
18, 17, 16, 15, 10,
9,
9,
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Come on, George.
Two.
you have one more.
I can't.
Thank you, sir. All right, so this was actually a little bit unfair because I'm gonna cheat. Yeah, don't give my teeth for this one. You can sign me or not, but so this packet here has roughly 6 servings of fruits and vegetables in it. Yeah. Plus, it's loaded with probiotics, prebiotics, digestive enzymes, as is that. However, this is all formulated for bioavailability. Better than that. And that's not all the fruits and vegetables I get. Obviously, you need to chew, you need to masticate, but in a pinch, if you're struggling to get 43 bowls of spinach in a day, something like that can make a huge difference. Also, I was actually going to do this with this instead because I know more of you guys like chocolate and you like green tasting stuff. This actually tastes a little bit better. So it's our Max Greens powder. It's chocolate flavored. This one actually has 11 servings of fruits and vegetables that you can consume in the same amount of time that I just finished that. So everybody give a hand to George. Yeah, so the packet I did, that's VMG Plus. That's from doTERRA. They do have a few essential oils in there. It's really a great vitamin, like a multivitamin replacement. If you're looking for something that you can drink or you struggle to swallow capsules, that's a good alternative there. The Max Greens isn't designed to be a multivitamin, but it is designed to be all those. They juiced it and then they dehydrated it and turned it into powder, and then add chocolate to it so that all of us would love it if you like chocolate.
There is one that's strawberry kiwi.
Yeah, strawberry kiwi is an alternative flavor as well. So, Bamboozle number 7. Who's heard this one? Fever means you're sick, right? And also, yeah, fever of 100.7. Man, that's high, right? No, it's not even a fever. Fever doesn't even start until, was it 101.7
We
or
don't
something?
treat in the hospital
Yeah.
until it's over.
Yeah, over 101. It's not even a fever. And then when you look at the research on this, what we find is that lowering a fever with an over-the-counter, it actually prolongs this. So there was a study done on college kids, right? So these guys are young, healthy, they should be able to bounce back, whatever. One group, they measured them, they all took fever reducers. The other, and this is influenza A, so they all took fever reducers. The other group did nothing to reduce their fever. Which group got better faster? By 3 days. So you don't feel good, you got a headache, you got, fever is up 102, 103, 104, 105 even. Should you lower that fever at 105? No, the fever is not actually going to hurt you. People think that it will, but actually the fever won't go so high that it causes a seizure. Unlike what we've been taught in medical school and chiropractic school. The body will stop before it does anything. But what the virus wants you to do is to lower that fever, because then the virus can propagate. The heat goes in there and it actually slows the pathogen growth, it boosts white blood cell count, speeds metabolism and healing, right? Heat means that things are going to move more quickly. It activates protective proteins and it builds your tolerance to future sickness. It makes you more robust. It makes a healthier system. And then you look at something like Tylenol. It actually creates holes in the blood-brain barrier. So whatever else is in your system that normally wouldn't cross the blood-brain barrier is now able to get into the brain. And this is where a fever becomes dangerous. Because if you get encephalopathy because of the virus, you can have a seizure from that encephalopathy. It's not actually the fever, it's the medication that did it in the first place. You got to be able to differentiate the two. And so, should you lower a fever? Absolutely not. The fever needs to stay as high as possible for as long as possible. When my kids get a fever, and they do, as they should, that's the body's defense mechanism, I put them in the sauna or a warm bath. Why? Because that actually takes pressure off their body's energy systems. So then they don't have to spend the energy keeping their temperature high when we're trying to keep the house at like 72, 78, somewhere in there. They get in a 105-degree bathtub, and now they don't have to create a fever. Their body then can naturally cool down afterwards and reset its temperature wherever it needs to. So that's just a much healthier approach to fevers. So what should you take instead, right? Because we don't just want to do nothing. Well, here's the thing. They did research on vitamin D3 specifically. And what they found is that vitamin D3 is almost 90% effective against the flu at preventing it. So first off, if you ever get the flu, what should be the first thing that you run to take? Not Tylenol, vitamin D3. And you should make sure that your levels should be at least above 40 at minimum, above 40 nanograms per deciliter. But it should be, ideally, for its most protective, between 60 and 100 nanograms per deciliter. Which, if you ever go to your medical doctor and they run those tests, if you get over 40, oh, you're good to go. But none of the protective mechanisms are actually going to be found at 40. It actually needs to be 60 to 100. That's sweet spot. Oh yeah. What, $12 test down here at Brian? Yeah, super easy. Not going to break the bank for it. Now, if you go through your medical doctor and try to use your medical insurance, now you're spending at least $100, right? But if you pay cash, you go to Brian. Yeah, it's.
And I'm sure they have.
So this is also a new supplement here. This is called Cytal V. This is also from Kingdom Health Sciences. So first off, this has your vitamin A, your vitamin D, and your vitamin K. These are your fat-soluble vitamins. All of those are linked directly to the immune system. You need those to be at the appropriate level. Now you'll notice here that the vitamin D in here is at 1,250%, the recommended daily value. Who's recommending that? The FDA. And the FDA has about 1 million% batting percentage on getting these numbers right? No, their numbers are designed to keep you from getting rickets, the bone softening disease. That's when your vitamin D3 drops below 30. And if you take, it's about 200 or 400 IUs a day, you can prevent yourself from getting rickets. But where should it be? It should be about 2,000 IUs or 250 micrograms a day to sustain levels between 60. If it's not there yet, guess what you have to do? Increase those levels, get them up. Get out in the sunshine. That's the cheapest way. Get out in the sunshine, take your shirt off, expose yourself, hopefully behind a fence. But 30 minutes between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. is enough to get you the right amount of vitamin D3 a day. And what we'll find is if you go and you've been outside, sorry, for most of the summer, and you go down there and you get your D3 levels measured, it'll be, above 80, and your doctor will be like, whoa, above 80, it's starting to get high. Or if it gets over 100, oh, you're going to die. You got to get, you got to go way over 120 to even get close to a toxic dose of vitamin D3. And actually, vitamin D3, your body will break down and not allow you to absorb enough to actually do the toxic dose. The only way to get above that is with vitamin D2, which then the body will convert into. And that can become a toxic dose. D2 is the synthetic form. that vitamin D3 is the one that you actually want. So when you go to Walmart, you look for the cheap stuff on the shelf. It's like, oh man, this has 10,000 IUs in it. You turn around vitamin D, you don't even look any further. You gotta look and make sure it's D3 because that's gonna show you the one that you want. Now, vitamin K2 isn't there for the immune system as much, although it really does need to be there. It's there to help support bone health because D3 and K2 work synergistically to help each other absorb and get calcium into the bones. If you take calcium without vitamin D3 or without vitamin K2 at appropriate levels in your system, it will leach and stay into the bloodstream and you'll get osteoporosis with normal calcium and normal D3 levels. So you have to take those three together. D, K2, and then if you're going to take calcium, you want that. So what else is in here? Well, we've got zinc. Zinc is a great one at keeping the immune system healthy, and it works better. It's more effective when it's in the presence of vitamin D as well. So, don't just take zinc. Don't just take vitamin D3. They work together. They help to support a healthy immune system. Copper is a necessary nutrient. This is actually really high, which is why this is not an all the time supplement. This is a break glass in case of supplement. This is going to help raise those levels back up. Then you can see there's a lot of organic and fermented, all of these herbs, all of these nutrients that are in here, even some fruit tree leaves are studied to show how they actually improve the health of the immune system. So you guys can take a minute and look through this.
That's the only.
We can pre-order more for you. But yes, as we are approaching flu season now, I highly, highly recommend keeping this in your medicine cabinet because this is going to be much more effective than any medicine on the market at keeping you healthy and reducing the risk of getting it through flu season.
And that one does say just take for 14 days.
Yeah, it's
Not something.
not all the time. So like if you had COVID, you'd probably take it through all that, but then you'd stop and you'd kind of remeasure, let your body heal. It took me about a month to get through COVID. I wouldn't be taking that through. Like I taken it through the first 14 days, and then bounce back. So here's a big one. I was actually listening to a surgeon talk about the benefits of chiropractic for back pain this night on Instagram. Not something we would have heard of 30 years ago. 30 years ago, the back surgeons would have said, "Oh yeah, no, you don't go to a chiropractor. They cause strokes." Chiropractic, they're quacks. They're going to tell you that the nervous system controls everything in the body. Now you have subluxation. It's like, okay, well, these are my trusted medical doctors. I'll take their word for it. And now they're saying that chiropractic is for back pain. And if you've been around my office at all, you probably saw the article that I wrote called "Don't Leave with Just the Bubble Gum." Anybody read that one? Yeah, I emailed that one out too. And so I heard this a few times around the office, like people were just coming through for the back pain treatment. And it was just like, haven't I taught you guys better? Because it really is, if you use chiropractic just for pain, you're literally given, an unlimited shopping spree on a single card. You walk into the store, you pick out a packet of bubble gum. It really, it's beneficial, but that's barely the tip of the iceberg as far as what you're actually getting for it. So I talk about a lot of different things at these workshops. I like to, zero in on one specific condition that I see a lot of people have. So we've talked about things like severe hyperkyphosis and anterior head forward posture. What I want to talk about tonight is a condition called cervical or positional and degenerative cervical myelopathy. So you can see this is a healthy MRI. There's no obstruction in this whatsoever. And he's got, an okay curve. But what is cervical myelopathy? What's this? You can see this here. What are these? These are bulging discs putting pressure into the spinal cord, creating cervical myelopathy. Now, bulging discs are one of the causes of cervical myelopathy. Cervical myelopathy is like a precursor to every neurologically degenerative condition. If you're worried about Alzheimer's or dementia or Parkinson's or ALS or multiple sclerosis, you should very much be aware of cervical myelopathy. Why? Because it is a predictor. It's a predictor. It's one of the factors that we can trace back to a high rate. And so what is the most common cause of cervical myelopathy? Not bulging discs, it's actually a loss of cervical curve. So here's an example of a patient who's lost their cervical curve. They have neck pain, they have headaches, they have sinus issues, they have allergies, asthma. And when we look at that curve, it's only 5 degrees through there, 5 out of 45 degrees. So if we were to take the normal curve and we were to reduce that down 40 degrees to about 5 degrees, imagine that that's a banana in a banana. What's happening to the banana inside the banana peel when we straighten that up? It squishes it. If you were to open that up, where would it be squished the most? Not at the tips. It'd be right here in the middle. And that's what we see in the literature. Both that creates that cervical myelopathy in the spinal cord. It also stretches the spinal cord. It demyelinates the spinal cord, which is the part of the spinal cord that sends the electrical signals up and down the entire length of the spine and the nervous system. And so we need that to have a 45-degree curve. So what do we do with this patient? How do we help them? Well, we start with that mix, fix, set protocol. We got the x-ray, we know how to adjust. We mix, we warm it up. Fix, we adjust it. And then set, we retrain it to hold the new position. We can't just crack this into place. But taking the pressure off the spinal cord, we're not a dead banana that's been plucked off the fruit tree. Our bodies are designed to heal. They just need the right tools. They need to remove the interference. And then the way God designed the body heals. And so after several months, this takes about 3 months to get this much progress. We get to 15 degrees of curvature, much better. Head forward posture was at 24 millimeters. That takes it off about 10 pounds of stress across the neck. Do you think the neck pain's improved? You think the headaches are improved? You think the asthma and the allergies are improved? Yeah. What makes the bigger difference for the patient? The asthma and the allergies or the neck pain and the headaches? The pain is what keeps them coming back because that's what they've been told chiropractic for. But if the asthma goes away, what do they no longer have to buy? No, Buterol. They no longer have to use that medication anymore. They no longer have to worry about that autoimmune condition that's happening inside the body. Asthma is an autoimmune condition. Your body's own immune system is attacking your lungs with asthma. And so when something like this is causing something like that, it can create real disease processes. We see that patients that get adjusted a minimum of once a month on average, they save on just healthcare expenses alone an average of $7,000 per year. Isn't that incredible? It's just like, yeah, this is not about the pain. This is not about the bubble gum. This is about you being as healthy as possible for as long as possible. So, yeah, so life expectancy in patients with degenerative cervical myelopathy. I've shared this with you all in doctor's report, but do you guys remember what it is if you lose even half of that curve for life expectancy decrease? 20 years decreased life expectancy for losing even half of that cervical. And so really, who should be getting their spine checked? Every single person needs a cervical x-ray where they actually measure it. How many x-rays do I get from medical doctors where the report said negative findings? Don't see any rationale for why your neck hurts or for why your sinuses keep getting clogged. Well, I'll tell you what, if you've lost half of that curve or even just taking the time to measure it, measure that curve, and that has cervical myelopathy, like this gentleman has here with that reverse curve through there, it's not just clogging the electrical signals running up and down the spine, it's clogging the carotid arteries. You're not getting blood flow. It's clogging the cerebrospinal fluid flow. Other things are not draining appropriately either. And so it's very important that we restore that curve in as many people as possible. But less than 5% of chiropractors even know how to put a curve into it. And so that's where the trouble lies. You could get chiropractic your whole life, be with an awesome adjuster, like my mom. She's been going to this guy for 10 years. I keep telling her, Mom, he's not a good chiropractor. It's like, he adjusts me so well, though. He cracks me every time. It feels so good. I'm like, when was the last time you did an exam or took an x-ray? She's like, never. I'm like, that's not a chiropractor. It's a crackopractor, right? And he may have gone to chiropractic school, but he forgot everything he learned in there because he didn't actually fix the problem or even start to try to fix the problem. He just started cracking things. So who needs to know? Everybody, right? So can you hit the, or no, just hand me the remote. The skinny one. Got it. Yeah, too many remotes. Let me get that out. See if this works or if it's gonna create awful feedback. I'm hearing the feedback. Okay, so we're not gonna do that. So this video is of a gentleman at an airport here in the United States. He falls down and his coat gets stuck. He's there for 20 minutes before security gets to him. Over 40 people walk past him in this time. Some people look over, some people film. Nobody goes over to help this gentleman, right? And that's super easy, right? It's super easy to just reach over and zip somebody's coat and help them out, right? So simple. We could have saved this man's life. But how many of your friends have never had a cervical x-ray? And what's it doing to them? It's doing the exact same thing. It's strangling them, just like that man was strangled on the elevator. And so what we're doing is this community dinner. This is a week from tonight. This is for your friends. This is for the skeptics, honestly. I want the skeptics. I want the people that are like, oh, those quack refractors. They don't know what they're talking about. Bring them over, right? This is for them. This is for them to see what happens in a chiropractic office. And so what we've done is we've reserved a room at the Venue restaurant over at 70th and Pioneers. And you get free dinner with one caveat to that. You have to bring a guest. And no, your spouse doesn't count. Yeah, you got to bring somebody who has no idea about any of this. You know, who's never had their spine checked, or they've been to a chiropractor and never had an x-ray, or they've been to a chiropractor for years and years and years and years and not gotten good enough results based off of the amount of money that they've invested. And so this is free, and Cheryl's going to send this around. And then when this is done getting around, so put your name down. If you don't know which guest name you should go to your favorites in your phone. That's why this is here. Those are the people you care about the most. Hopefully one of those people is here already with you. I see a couple where that actually is the case. But put those people down, and then we will confirm with you so that we get a good head count for them being able to come. So that's going to go around for a second. I'm going to turn off the video now. And if you're watching online and you want to come to this video, you're absolutely welcome to come. If you want to come to the dinner, you just got to text the office. It's the same number that you would use to make an appointment. So with that said, I'm going to go turn off the camera. We're going to start back on the last two.